Thank you everyone for joining the Fueled by Faith series. If you've been watching, somebody said the mom life. Yes, exactly.
Yes.
If you've been following my page, my Fueled by Faith series is all about inviting specifically women on who have chosen to let their lives be led by faith-based decision making versus fear-based decision making. So Jennifer is a perfect example of that. She is actually the founder of Aquafaba Test Kitchen, and I think everything that she's doing, honestly, online has been so inspiring to me. So,
Aw.
and I just want to thank you, Jennifer, for coming on. Just to give a quick intro, she loves to create vegan and plant-based recipes to showcase the versatility of Aquafaba bean water, if you're not familiar with it. And she's also so big about the fact that cooking builds communities. So, and it definitely connects people. So Jennifer, again, thanks so much for coming on. We'll jump right in, but I just really appreciate you being here and I love everything that you're doing.
Thank you for having me. Thank you
Of
for inviting
course.
me. I'm excited to answer all the questions that you all have about Aquafaba and my journey using it.
She also is awesome because she was actually featured on Bob's Red Mill and she cooked with them. And I actually got the chance to tune into that. It was fantastic, by the way. I think you guys were making brownies, and I have a question on that, I think, in the lineup of questions. But I thought
Okay.
that was so cool just to see you on there. I use a lot of their household products, and I thought you did such a great job of walking through every step of what you were doing. So
Okay. Thank you.
you're welcome. So I'll jump into the first question. Let's talk a little bit about your background. Is there anything that stands out from your childhood and specifically childhood memories and how it relates to your life today?
Let's see, one of four sisters. So I'm, I guess, a caregiver at
Oh,
heart. I love to care for others. So I think that's where my love for cooking for my family came into play. And actually, I used to help my mom in the kitchen as well. I think everyone used to help their mom in the kitchen. So
yeah, for
that's
sure.
also, that also came into play as well. And yeah, that's really all I can think of that kind of led me down this path of using aquafaba to cook healthier meals for my family, and things like that.
I love that. And I can relate to that too, in the sense that, especially as women, we often find ourselves cooking with like a parent or a caregiver or a family member, and that sort of sparks the interest. I think for me growing up, I was not interested. Like, I would help my mom, but I liked baking more than cooking. And so it's funny because once you kind of come into your own with your own family, you find yourself actually falling in love with the process of cooking and seeing things. So that's a really good question. We have one in the chat, Jennifer. It says, I would love to know if you were always vegan and how you found your way to this lifestyle. So can you share a little bit about that before we go into the next question? Because it's a natural
Yeah,
fit.
yeah. So saying you're vegan and affirming that you're vegan, I feel like carries a lot of weight. And I'm not vegan. I consider myself plant-based. My family's
Okay.
plant-based. I feel like to be vegan, you have to have a determination to just, not eat a lot of things, which, I completely agree with. But for us, we haven't found an alternative for butter yet. Even though
Okay.
we do use vegan butter, we haven't found an alternative for butter, and honey.
Mm,
And we use honey as well. So I
okay.
can't say that I'm vegan,
I think
but
you
I
can
do
do
make a
it.
lot of I do make a lot of vegan recipes and plant-based recipes.
Okay. So that makes sense.
Yeah,
But so what do you feel like is the challenge with the vegan butter that you found versus regular butter?
it's just the taste isn't quite the same.
Okay.
That's
That
just
makes sense.
where that's just where I am with it.
That's
Yeah.
fair. No,
So.
that's a good point. And I know that a lot of people share that the biggest challenge is
Mhm.
actually choosing cheese. Like
Mhm.
the taking away the cheese is usually hard. So that's why I think it's so interesting that you mentioned butter and what was the other one that you mentioned?
Honey.
Honey. I know some
Yeah.
people mention agave is really good. Like my family
Mhm.
is vegan. We went vegan last November, so we're still babies.
Mhm.
But we just kind of tore off the band-aid and just started changing everything out. So that's a good point though. I think I
Mhm.
love that you say that you're plant-based because it takes time for some families and that's okay and you do what
Mhm.
works for you. So Really good question. If you all have any other questions, feel free to drop them because we only have so much time and I want to incorporate them if we can get them in.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of people talk about being vegan or plant-based for the animals, or some folks say it's
Hmm.
for the environment, others say for health reasons. Like, what would you say is your reason for thinking about the plant-based lifestyle? And also, on that same kind of um, trend, how long have you been focusing on like plant-based eating? Because I know that you specifically said you're not vegan, but you are plant-based. So how long have you been plant-based? And then what was your why for choosing plant-based options?
Yeah, so back in 2017, my fiance, well, we didn't boyfriend, but my fiance and I, we watched What the Health on Netflix, and that really opened our eyes to a lot of, you know, pantry staples that we usually just we eat or drink
Mm-hmm.
because we've been doing it since we were young.
Yeah.
So that kind of started my quest on, taking out the meat and taking out the all the milks and things like that. That's what started our journey. But to use aquafaba, I'm sorry.
It's okay. You're fine. Don't worry. Don't
to
worry.
use for me to start using aquafaba, it was my 1 year old. Her birthday was coming up, and we wanted to make her a smash cake. We wanted to do vegan. So I looked online to see, what recipes I can try or test. And a lot of them had the apple cider vinegar and
Mm,
the baking soda mix for
okay.
the egg alternative. And I made the cake, and I still tasted the vinegar. Maybe I made it wrong. I don't know,
Yeah.
but it wasn't my cup of tea. So I just kept looking for a different egg alternative, and that's when I came across aquafaba, and that's
Okay.
what kind of started all of that. And that was back in 2017. So we've been doing plant-based and kind of vegan for about 3 years now.
Okay. That makes sense. So
Hmm.
when you talk about plant-based, are you more so saying like, because I know some people might have questions about that, the difference is vegan is more so just absolutely no animal
Hmm.
products, nothing that there is an animal byproduct either. And then plant-based is
Right.
more like you're mostly focused on plants, eating, incorporating plants. Is that right?
Yeah. So, like you said, vegan is like no animal byproducts or anything like that. But plant-based is more so um, like a vegetarian diet. But like you said, you're focused more on plants.
Okay.
Um, yeah. So plant-based diets, you can still use your butters and your honeys and things like that. Um, so yeah.
But you
And then
just try to
there's
stay. Hmm.
Right. And then there's another term, ethical vegan, and that's when like you really deep dive into the products that you're using. Like
Yeah.
some ethical vegans don't eat bananas because something dealing with like chimpanzees or things like that. So it's like
Oh, wow.
it's a lot.
I hadn't heard of that. I
Yeah.
hadn't heard of that. I know for us, like, we're so big on, I think we're kind of in between vegan and
Mhm.
ethical vegan now, only
Mhm.
because, like, I've changed my face wash. Like, my facial wash is now made
Mhm.
without any cruelty to animals. And so I'm
Yeah.
learning more, but I hadn't heard about some folks not choosing to enjoy bananas. I'm like,
Yeah,
I
like
don't know if I can get there.
if it has anything to do with animals, they just choose not to partake in it, which
Partake.
is completely fine. That's your choice. That is your
Yeah.
choice, and I admire them so much.
Yeah.
I
No,
really
that's
do.
great. So
Yeah.
that's really good. And I see Gayatri, you're saying hi. It's 2 a.m. Gayatri's actually from like, she's one of my good friends, and she is in Singapore. So we have folks
Oh,
from all over
hi.
right now. Thanks for joining. So thank you, all of you, for joining. And if you have any questions, feel free to share them. So I know you had we already talked about that. How long have you been plant-based?
Hmm.
And then what were some of the initial challenges that you faced going plant-based in 2017, and how did you sort of conquer those challenges?
Oh man, so we used to be big on salmon. And you can saute salmon, bake salmon. You can put
Yeah.
teriyaki seasoning. You can just do anything with it. So to just take out the fish was a big obstacle for us. And also just sorry, she's like in the drawer pouring out everything.
It's okay. That Grant does the same thing.
Just trying to find a good substitute alternative for a lot of the things that we loved, like the fish. And well, I didn't eat shrimp, but like the shrimp for my fiance. So I
What?
think that's the biggest. Mhm.
Oh no, go ahead. Sorry.
I
I'm
think
just
that's the
excited.
biggest. That's the biggest obstacle. I think for anyone just trying to switch diets so drastically, but how? Thank you, Noah. But how we got over that is we just Googled and then we just did our research. We did our
So what'd
research
you end
and
up
we did trial and error. Mhm.
what'd you end up changing some of those things out for, like the salmon? Did you find an alternative or did you just say, okay, forget it, that's just not something we're gonna have now?
So we use Beyond Meat. Anything
Okay.
Beyond Meat makes, we eat. We eat that. We eat corn, that brand as well. And I'm excited about Beyond Meat because they actually have a new chicken tender that they have, which is plant based. A lot of their things are vegan as well. So that was a big help. But for the fish, like to swap out fish for a vegan fish, we haven't found anything. Um,
That that's interesting. I've heard some folks saying I really do like Beyond Meat as well. We also sub out Impossible as well.
mhm.
And so I've heard some folks have tried like chickpeas. Like I've made a really good chickpea tuna salad. I'm doing
I
air quotes
want to
because it's
make
not
that.
tuna. I'll
Yeah.
send you my recipe for it. It's
Okay.
actually really good. And so
Uh-huh.
there's like little things you can add where it's kind of similar. I know that something like salmon is a little bit more difficult, but if I find a recipe, I'll make sure I send you something. But I
Yeah.
do have a fake tuna salad that I can share with you. Um,
Okay. Thank you.
so I know you started cooking, like you said, with your mom and your sisters growing up. How old would you say you were? Was it just as early as you could remember, or was it a specific time in your life, like teenage years?
Oh, maybe middle school,
Okay.
like around
So,
that time. And I was transitioning from private school to public school.
okay.
Trying to wrap my head around that because it's like it's a completely different atmosphere from private to public. So I think
Mm-hmm.
that was a good distraction for me.
Okay. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
So shifting gears to Aquafaba,
Hmm.
I've heard you talk about your experience learning about Aquafaba. I think you came across the guy who created it originally or discovered it, maybe not created it, it was already existing, but like
Yeah.
you shared a little bit about that. Can you tell me a little bit about that story of how you discovered Aquafaba and why did you land on Aquafaba Test Kitchen? Like, what was that journey like?
Yeah. So that's Goose Vault, and I I was fangirling a couple weeks ago because I joined a Facebook group that he's a part of. It's called Aquafaba Mistakes or Aquafaba Testing or something like that. But then I friended him on Facebook and he accepted my friendship. So happy about that. You might see a live with me soon. But how I stumbled upon I just
Wow.
Googled egg alternatives and a bunch of stuff came up. So I had to like go through the different pages. And I tested it out one day. And it was a vanilla cake that I tested it out on, and it turned out really nice. So I just started using it from then on out.
Hey Mo, I see Maureen just joined, so I want to give
Oh,
her a shout out.
hi.
um, so okay, so you just tested it with the vanilla cake recipe. So then what
Yeah.
kind of got you to Aquafaba Test Kitchen? Like when did it start? Like when did you start your
Thinking about
page
it.
and how did
Um,
that all come to be? Because your
so,
one more thing I'll say too,
uh,
just want to tell you, Jennifer, I love your blog. I've been on your blog. I've gone through all your recipes. I love your layout. It's so
oh,
user
thank
friendly.
you.
So I just want
Thank
to tell you, you're
you.
doing a great job. So how did that all come to be?
Thank you. So it was maybe 2019, maybe.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
When my fiance was like, "Well, you're making all this all this food and you're not writing anything down." And I was like, "Yeah, you're right. I mean, every time I need something, I have to like recreate it.
hmm
I should keep a journal." So he was like, "Yeah, you should do a journal." So I started a journal. Um, and then it just kind of snowballed from there. Um, So I started a journal then, and then like sometime last year in November, I was like, well, maybe because I like to like look at recipes online.
Hmm.
I have 3 cookbooks and that's it, like three hard copies.
Oh
And I
my
feel like a
gosh.
lot of people, I feel like a lot of people are like that. They just go online, Google, and then that's the recipes. I was like, well, I want to be one of those folks. So in November, I got my web domain, Aquafaba Test Kitchen, and I just started creating it from, well, not from scratch. I did like a template on GoDaddy.com, but that's how that started. But the name, so one of the cookbooks that I have is What Good Cooks Know, and it's
Hmm.
by America's Test Kitchen. So that kind
Oh,
of how
smart.
I meshed it together. And I think I thought it just made sense because I'm using Aquafaba. A lot of people don't know about it. And I'm actually testing it out myself. So,
Yep.
you know,
I love that. I
Aquafaba Test
really love
Kitchen.
that. It's so cool
Thank
too
you.
to see how things kind of come to be just
Yeah.
from the process. Like you don't really know where you're going, but if you stay on the journey long enough, everything will sort of reveal itself to you. So I love that you were just down for the ride. So that's really cool. And I
Mhm.
love that like your page has all of these test recipes. I always say that I'm going to try them. It's hard when you're in the same space as I mean, I don't focus as much on aquafaba, but like the whole
Uh-huh.
concept of plant-based and vegan recipes, it's hard because you're already thinking about creating your own content. But I'm going to try and do
Right.
a better job of testing other people's recipes every once in a while. Hey, hey, I see someone, Gael Food Cat. Welcome. I see you just joined. Thanks for joining. So,
Hello.
what's your goal for the Aquafaba Test Kitchen? I guess I'm trying to think about
Oh
what's your
man.
long-term goal. Do you have any goals or are you just having fun with it right now?
Right now, I'm just having fun with it. A lot of brands have been reaching out to me to kind of test their ingredients out using aquafaba, so I'm excited about that. My last
That's
one was
cool.
with Nature's Earthly Choice. I did their rice broccoli. I made vegan rice broccoli nuggets using chickpeas and then their rice broccoli, and it turned out really good. I was very surprised.
I saw those. They look
Um,
delicious.
Thank you, thank you. And I used the garbanzo bean aquafaba, so just having fun with it right now. Yeah, we'll see where it goes.
Well,
We'll
I'll
see
be
where it
with
goes.
you. I'll be with you along the ride because I'm loving the stuff you're cooking up. And every time I go to your page, I'm like so hungry after. I'm like, oh gosh,
Oh,
I need to go make some food
well,
now.
you have some good food on your page too. I've been looking,
Thanks.
especially the appliances you just got from that
Dash.
brand,
Yeah,
the
it was cool.
dehydrator that you just used. Yeah, that
Yeah,
was awesome.
definitely. The Dash, yeah, the Dash dehydrator. If anybody out there has not tried it, definitely get one. I promise you, you can trust my reviews on it because it was actually really good. And funny thing, Jonah actually, our 9-year-old, we made zucchini chips and then we made apple and banana chips. And he actually
Mhm.
liked the zucchini chips the most, which I was like,
Oh
okay,
wow.
hello. Like, and Grant, he's 20 months. That's our little guy, he loved everything that came from that. So I'm like, if we can get fruits and veggies into them in an easy
Oh
way,
yeah.
I might need to start packaging this stuff and selling it.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
why
so it was
not?
really good. So I have a question for you. This was part of like expanding your brand. Do you think that
Hmm.
you'll ever like create products that people can purchase online or something along those lines? Hey,
I'm
Haley.
not sure. If I do, it'll probably be like a recipe journal
Okay,
because that
that's
kind of
cool.
helped me get started and just
Oh, that's so
journaling.
cool.
Yeah,
Don't tell any more
journaling.
about it. I don't want anyone to take your idea, Jennifer. I love that idea. I love that. Don't
Okay,
share
but
anymore,
that's
but that's good. We'll be
yeah.
keeping an eye out for it.
Thank you.
I'm like, that's a gem. Okay, so how do you balance your life online? So I know right now you have your daughter with us. I want to see her at
Yeah.
some point, but maybe not today, but at some point. But yeah, how do you balance the online presence with like being a mom? Like right now you're juggling so much. Lucky little garden, hey, hey. But how do you balance that? Because I know it's hard. Like for me, it's hard, but for those folks that are out there who are listening, who are like, man, I want to do something similar like or I have a passion in a certain space and I'd love to be
Mhm.
online making an impact, how do you balance it? Like what would you tell them?
So my secret is I follow Carrie at she is at Social with Carrie on Instagram, and she has tons of advice, tons of tips on
Wow.
how to manage your time while creating your brand on Instagram. And yeah, I just follow her advice and it works.
What's
It
her
works.
name again?
It works for me. Social with Carrie.
Social with Carrie. Okay, I'm gonna ask
Yeah.
you for that or try to find her, and I'll put her name and her Instagram in the
Mm.
show notes so other people can check her out. That's really cool.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah, because it's
I
hard.
follow her. It's very hard. It's very hard. I'm a full-time working mom as well. So during the week it's just
Okay.
like but creating recipes, I usually do it at night when Madeline is sleeping, so I can just kind of do my thing. And it's therapy almost because you get
Mm-hmm.
to express yourself in a different way. And then once your family tastes the food, it's just like,
You
oh,
feel so
it's
good.
love.
It's true. It's so
Yeah.
true. It's so true. I feel
Yeah.
the same way. Like if I have a hard day, I'm like, I just need to bake something.
Yeah, right. Or if you have a big meeting coming up, you're just, I try to bake something that's kind of complicated, so I feel accomplished
Oh, I
before the
love that.
meeting. Um, but yeah, and I also use my calendar as well, just my
Okay,
Google Calendar, and create like little reminders
that's
for
cool. I
myself.
love that. Hey,
Yeah.
Beautiful Butterfly. The Beautiful Butterfly Show, if anyone hasn't checked her out, definitely go and check her out. She's amazing. I just did an interview on her show 2 days ago, so check her out, Miss B Fly. So I guess what do you usually eat for breakfast? Because I'm so curious about that. I always want to know what other people are eating because I find myself just eating like I mean it depends on the week. I eat popcorn probably every other day. I love popcorn as a
Oh,
like a
popcorn
vegan
is good.
snack,
Yeah.
especially cooking it at home.
Hmm.
But what do you eat for breakfast usually?
So if you follow my page, and I know you do, I love to make homemade oat milk. So with
I
the
actually
oat,
haven't even seen that yet.
no.
I don't know how I've missed it.
Well, I haven't done it. I haven't done any recipes from that lately. So
Okay.
I understand why you haven't seen it. But for breakfast, I use the oat pulp and make an oatmeal. So I make enough oat milk to have enough oat pulp to use that for my breakfast every morning. So that's typically what you'll find me eating, oatmeal.
Okay. Do you have any recipes or tips on like making your own homemade oat milk?
I sure do.
Okay.
So my recipe, do I have it up? I don't think I have it up for the oat milk, but I usually use alkaline water, 3 cups of alkaline water, 1 cup of oats, and I use Bob's Red Mill rolled oats, and
Okay.
blend it, strain it, and then that's it. A lot of people typically use, hold on 1 second.
No, you're fine. So while Jennifer gets her daughter all situated, I just want to tell you guys this has been so informative for me because I actually haven't tried oat milk yet. But I'm looking forward to trying oat milk. So that's why I wanted to ask her about her oat milk recipe since I haven't even attempted it yet. So go ahead. I just told them that you
Yeah.
needed to take a quick second to get your daughter situated.
Thanks, girl. Um, yeah, so we don't use preservatives because we drink it really, really fast. So
Mm.
typically, if you don't use preservatives in your oat milk, it'll last a day or two.
Oh man. Okay.
So that's why we also make small batches as well. But if you want it to last a little longer, you should put like sea salt or Himalayan salt in there. Some people put like a sweetener in there, like date paste or
Okay.
something like that to kind of give it a flavor because oat milk can be really bland if you just use oats in the water. But yeah,
Okay.
it works really well.
That's cool. I'm gonna have to try it. I might even try it this weekend. So usually you said for breakfast you have oat milk with what? What did you say?
Oatmeal.
Repeat it. Okay, oatmeal with the oat milk. Hey, mommy. I'm
Yeah.
like on here talking about my mom is not in my show. She just joined.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining. Okay,
Hi.
that's cool. So I also think it's cool. You mentioned that you volunteer virtually to help children and families in need. So what usually takes place during those volunteer sessions? I was curious about it too because I did see some cooking classes, like reference you had some references to cooking
Hmm.
classes on your blog as well. So can you share a little bit more about what your volunteering looks like and
Hmm.
also the virtual volunteer? I don't know if it's virtual volunteering or in person. Can you just share a little bit about that?
Yeah, so since the pandemic, I kind of switched to virtual volunteering. It actually stemmed from my work, from my job, because I was the coordinator for employee engagement, and I just, kind of snowballed that into my personal life.
That's
So the
cool.
one virtual volunteering activity that I love to do is with the United Nations World Food Program, and they have a free online trivia game where you can just answer as many questions as you want in different categories and in different um, levels of uh,
Like
like there's a
difficulty.
yeah
Okay.
difficulty. And with each question you get correct, you donate a grain of rice to their cause.
Oh,
So they feed people all around the world with the rice that they collect from this game. And you kind of feel accomplished because, you get a tracker, you get to see what other people have donated. The most I believe I've seen people donate over time was like 50 million grains of rice.
wow. That's
I don't
cool.
know the conversion off the top of my head, like how many grains of rice are in a serving. Um, but yeah, that was really fulfilling for me. And also virtual volunteering through Operation Gratitude.
Okay.
So they assist men and women, men and women that are active in the military, and then also their families. So I would write greeting cards or
Oh,
whatever,
that's
and
cool.
then send them to the place, and then they would send them to like first responders and things like that. And that was really during the um, the COVID-19 pandemic when it was like, you know,
At its height. Yeah.
at its height. Yeah.
No,
Um,
that's cool. Can other people that are listening out there get involved in the same types of programs, or is it specific to
yeah.
like, okay, if you can
Hmm.
share those links, Jennifer, I want to put it in your show notes so that we can just reference that as well. Thanks
Absolutely.
for
I would love
sharing
to do
about that.
that.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
And
We
then
can
the
all, I mean,
online,
especially at home, like we're right at
hmm
home, we can easily do it. What were you gonna say?
right.
Sorry.
The online cooking classes, I just linked that to Eventbrite just in case anyone wanted like a refresher. Whatever is on Eventbrite, that's kind of what shows up. And
Okay.
I haven't actually taken part in those those cooking classes, but I really want to one day because I feel like that's a really good resource. Just pop
Okay.
in and like have an online cooking course and kind of
That's cool.
refresh your skills.
Oh my gosh, I have such a good idea. We should do that. I know there's some other really cool food bloggers out there, like Lucky Little Garden Sarah, and then also Haley Remain Calm Mama. So, at some point, we should all just jump on live and make the same thing. That would be really fun. I'm just like
Yeah.
full of ideas right now. Again, I need to not share all the good ideas.
The next thing you
Uh,
know, it's gonna be popping up.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I know that you were recently, we're running out of time, but I want to ask a few last quick questions if we can speed through
Okay.
them. I know you were recently also, I said you were featured on Bob's Red Mill,
Hmm.
which was really, really cool. And like I said at the beginning of the show, she did amazing. Look, Sarah
Oh,
saying,
thank you.
yes, it looks like we're all about to be doing a recipe together on live. Haley's in. Okay, so we're doing this. I'll organize it. I'll message you guys after this. But
Nice.
so you were making brownies. Do you have any other big projects coming up? Which I already know the answer to this, but if you don't follow her, I'm gonna just let you tell them about your upcoming projects.
Yeah, so this coming Wednesday, August 11th, I'll be on Bob's Red Mill live chat again, making vegan lemon meringue pie. I'm still kind of in the research phase of putting together the recipe, and I'll be testing it tomorrow. But I
Okay.
do have all of my ingredients though, so that's a plus. But yeah, I'll be
Yay.
making that, talking it through on their channel, and I feel like that's the most pressing thing or the most yeah, that's the only thing
Okay.
that's coming up so far.
That's cool. Okay. Well, I'm excited. I'm gonna do my best to try and join. What time is that, Jennifer? On Wednesday? Do you
3
know?
p.m. Eastern.
Okay, I'll do my
Yeah.
best to join that. So if you all can go and support her, that would be great. What one piece of advice would you give to folks who are thinking about choosing a vegan lifestyle who maybe haven't, or vegan or plant-based? I know that obviously you are in a space where you're kind of like more plant-based, which is
Mhm.
fantastic. Everything makes a difference. So what advice would you give to somebody who's thinking about either going vegan or choosing plant-based? Just
I
one
would
piece of
say
advice.
don't be hard on yourself. If your recipe turns out to be disgusting, just try again. Just try it again. Change the ingredients, change the measurements. Do whatever you want to do. There are really no rules. There are rules, but there are really no rules to cooking. Just,
I love that advice. I love that advice too, because when I first went vegan, I'd try a recipe, and if it failed, I would scratch the entire recipe and start
uh-huh.
over, which I've found lately that when I scratch a few ingredients or tweak a few ingredients,
Hmm.
eventually it works. Like you all, if you
Yeah.
follow my stories, I'm always making some crap food.
Oh
And
no.
eventually it gets better though. I'll test the
Yeah.
same recipe because I get a little obsessed about getting it right. So I'll test the same recipe 2 and 3 times in the same day, sometimes the next day until I get it right. And I've found that I usually find the best recipe by just changing a few ingredients versus throwing the whole thing away. So that's
Hmm.
really, really good advice. And Sarah is agreeing with me, so thanks. So final questions. Do you have a favorite quote or mantra that you live by that just inspires and encourages you?
This is gonna sound quirky, but it's actually from a kids movie called Robots, and it's see a need, fill a need. So if you see that
Oh,
there's a need, you fill it, in whatever capacity that you can. So that's what I try to do. When I first started posting my recipes on Instagram, a lot of people were like, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much," because I can't bake with eggs or I can't bake with um, chickpea bean water because I'm allergic. So that's also why I use black bean and kidney bean aquafaba as well because people are allergic to, a number of things.
hmm,
So yeah, see a need, fill a need.
I love that. See a need, fill a need. And we all have something to give to the areas of life that are
Right.
missing something. So, thinking about aquafaba, one of the questions that came in, and I don't know if you have the answer, but one of the questions that did come in was, how healthy is aquafaba?
So
Do you
I
have
did
any?
quite, yeah, I did research on this because I actually used aquafaba in the some of the baked goods for my little one. And a lot of the blogs are saying that it's fine, it's healthy. And then some blogs are saying that they don't have enough information about it yet. I mean, but they
Hmm.
also say that about meat alternatives as well. So
Hmm.
you just gotta, weigh the different information. But a lot of people get confused with aquafaba and then aquafaba. So fava beans are the issue causing beans that you probably really shouldn't take part in. And where faba comes from. So aquafaba, just really quick, it's Latin, aqua meaning water, and then faba
Hmm.
meaning bean. But some people get confused with faba with fava. So yeah,
Okay.
um, you can hear from me. I believe it's healthy, but still look online, ask your doctor, just to be on the safe side.
I love that. When I saw the question come in, I actually researched and I did see some folks saying that there was like some argument around it. But I think
Hmm.
with anything, even with choosing vegan or choosing plant-based lifestyles, it's important to think about and assess how your body's reacting too. So
Right.
just trusting our bodies to tell us if it's not working for us. If you get a stomach ache every time
Hmm.
you eat aquafaba, then you might not want to have anything with
Yeah.
aquafaba. So that's a good point. And then how
Yeah.
can people just support you and connect with you, Jennifer?
Just follow me on Instagram, comment, share, like, save my posts. Um, yeah, and that's really it. I'm really low maintenance, so
I love that. Well, thank you so much again. This
yeah.
was fantastic. I think you are really making a difference. Honestly, I've changed the way that I cook just from watching your page and
Oh,
seeing a lot of your recipes. And I'm not gonna lie, right now, vegan food supply is so low where we are. Like, I feel like
yeah.
everyone's choosing to go vegan right now, so it's hard to find some of our favorites. So, since I know that's the case, we've been buying like 20 cans of beans at a time.
Yeah.
I'm like, if we have aquafaba, we have everything we need just from watching your page because I'm like, we can't eat eggs. So it's a perfect substitute. So I just want
Hmm.
you to know that you really are making an impact. You're seeing those needs and you're filling the needs. So thank
Oh,
you for showing up and I appreciate you. And thank you to everyone out there that's joined. Please go and follow Jennifer Aquafaba Test Kitchen. Feel free to also connect with me as well. We're both kind of in a similar space of creating great recipes, but we all have our own flavor. Isn't that funny? Because we were talking about food. Um,
good one.
so anyway, thank you all for joining. Thank you, Jennifer, again. You're fantastic. And I'll have the show notes up probably by end of day on Monday, just because
Okay.
it's the weekend, probably sooner, but stay tuned on my blog. Thank you guys.
Okay. Thank you so much for inviting me. I had a lot of
Thanks.
fun. Thank you.
Me too. Thanks so much. I'll talk to you all soon. Bye.
Bye. See ya.